Hey there friends, how's it going? My name is Kevin, and that's right, they finally figured out what's wrong with me. It turns out having 17 toes isn't normal. No, it turns out that I have ADHD. May not be super surprising for those of you who have maybe watched me for a long time or watched my streams and saw the chaos in real time. In fact, I could have actually saved a lot of time and money by just letting my Twitch chat diagnose me, but that could be a slippery slope, but a lot of people called it. I started down the road of actually trying to figure it out a few months ago. I'm not exactly sure what made me actually pursue it, because it's so unlike me to actually pursue something like that. But I guess I was becoming a bit more aware of some of my flaws related to it. The problem with ADHD, for me at least, when I was learning about it, is that so many of the problems just seem very, very relatable on some level. Like, I think anyone could look at the symptoms and relate to a few of them. Like, for example, some of the symptoms, if you're not like super knowledgeable on the subject, don't worry, because I wasn't either. I still don't feel like I am. I'm trying to learn, but hey, it's hard, okay? I don't learn well. Like, I left school at 16. In hindsight, I'm just like, oh my god, why did it take me until I'm 29 to figure this out, man? I literally was watching a 20-minute video about it, and this was after I was diagnosed, so I was like, this could be really helpful, and it took me like 6 days to get through the whole thing, and I had to keep going back because I stopped focusing and I just forget. But for those of you that don't know that much, just things like getting very distracted, like you can't think very straight, your mind's very wandering, like tons of unfinished projects, being very impulsive and not being able to focus on some things, and then hyper focusing in other times, which is kind of a dangerous combination when you work for yourself. And it just ended with me being just very overwhelmed by everything and just very locked in my head. I can't really explain the way of thinking. It was very interesting though, because I had a brain scan done. It was like the hat out of Stranger Things. It was just like Stranger Things actually, except it was a pale 29-year-old Irishman sitting in a dark room with the hat on. So it wasn't really like Stranger Things, it was just a strange thing, the thing being me. But they put one of those hats on me, and we got the results a few weeks later, after me sitting in a room for, I don't know, like 20 minutes or something with the lights off, my eyes closed, and just in a recliner chair with this hat on, nothing else. And then she brought out this chart and explained it to me, the different types of activity. So it's 0 to 30. 0 being, you're dead, man. Why are you even doing the test? You're wasting my time. If I remember correctly, 4 was sleeping, 8 was normal functioning, 12 like solving a problem, 16 like very, very difficult. Don't quote me on that because of who I am as a person, but that was the basic gist of it. My results where my brain was on fire, it was at 30, at the whole back side of my brain. What I do a lot is I will unintentionally stop doing something, or I'll forget something, or I'll drop something, or anything along those lines. And that's because I'm so caught up in the back of my head that the front of my head is kind of on autopilot. It's very weird to explain. The front is like the lights are on but no one is home, and the back is like everyone's crammed into the house like a clown car, and they keep interrupting each other, and sometimes one will just stop talking and another will just start talking over everyone else and then immediately stop. It's so hard to explain, but as someone like who doesn't know anything different, that's just normal. Like, we all have our own normals, and you just will never know what it's like to be average on everything. We all have our like quirks and whatnot, so how do you know? By researching into it and actually addressing the problem, I suppose. But why does it have to be that hard? Why can't I just know? It helps understand a lot, because as I said, I didn't really understand beforehand. I'm just like the way I am, and that's the way it is. But now I understand a lot more, which is super helpful. There's also like there's positives and negatives. I've known for a few weeks now, and I guess one of the negatives is it feels a little insurmountable. Like, if you have an issue with yourself, you can work on fixing it with anything. But sometimes some of these issues feel like they're just hardwired into me, and there's not much I can do about that. I just had a brilliant thought. These videos intimidate me a lot sometimes because I get overwhelmed and I don't know what I'm I'm saying and what I have said and what I should say. Like, I don't go off a script. That just ain't me. I never do that. I always laugh when people say like, oh, he's scripted this or he's scripted that. Or I had one going, I just don't like your content as much, knowing that you played through the whole thing and then go back and redub it. And I just went, you think I'm doing all that to you? Wow, you have a high opinion of me. And it's like, I don't mean to be so hard on the negatives either, because to be honest, I think it is part of who I am. It's a big part of my personality, and it hasn't changed anything. So realistically, I just understand myself a bit better. I also think it's in a way, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's a superpower, but it's actually really feckin' annoying. Like, it doesn't feel like that, but it definitely has its positives. And I think it has helped me with the work I've gotten into, because I get really into something, and you know, whether it be games like variety style like I do, I get really obsessed with something. I'm looking at you, GTA Chaos, you know, that Chaos mod, that kind of stuff, and The Sims and Minecraft, whatever it might be. And then I get tired of them and I move on to something else, and that kind of helps me stay fresh and enjoy what I'm doing, and hopefully you also enjoy it. But also for just learning things, I'm like, oh, I can make a thumbnail, and then I get really into it, and you know, I learn a little bit my own way that's completely wrong. Anyone who knows anything about any of the programs I use, look at me while I'm using them and think I'm a lunatic. But it feels like for me that's just been the way I am my whole life, like even in school. It feels like a lifetime of being complained at because you're not doing something right. You successfully accomplished the task, but you didn't use the correct method, and everyone's pissed off at you for some reason. I think that translates to my content as well, like now that I think of it, like especially stuff like the One Chunk series. I do just the weirdest methods, and sometimes they're more difficult than what they need to be, but I just refuse to research anything. I'm like, I'm doing it my way. And that translates into my real life as well. I'm still a little bit confused on where to go from here. I've been told I'd be a good candidate for medication, probably. I've been told other things like that you can go to weird therapy. I don't mean weird in a bad way, it just sounded weird to me. That's basically me in a sentence. And also, there was like something shocking your brain and all that. It all sounds very overwhelming. It's still very early days for me, but I wanted to put this out there to both personally update you on me, because I feel like I can be really closed off unintentionally, both because I'm kind of a private person. Well, I'm very much a private person. I'm very offline in general. I don't really use social medias that much. And thirdly, I'm like, oh, I'll get around to that, and then it never happens. So let me know if you like this kind of stuff. Drop a like, I guess, or a dislike if you don't like this stuff. Yeah, that would actually be helpful, because I'd like to do more stuff like this that's a bit more informal, and it doesn't even need to be about me. I just mean like weird stuff I find on the internet that's just a more casual video. But I also wanted to put it out there just so that people can see it, and maybe if they relate anyway, and I don't know, that just raise like a tiny bit of awareness, because I feel like that's how I ultimately came to my conclusion, is just seeing it out on the wild. Like, I never specifically looked it up, and eventually I think it just clicked, was like, wow, all these people with ADHD sound exactly like me. Wait a minute. It was pretty much that. Don't mean to be negative throughout the video, because I'm just sharing my feelings. But I think everyone has something. I don't think anyone's won the genetic lottery with everything. Something's gonna come up, and obviously, for me at least, it can be overwhelming, but it's not the end of the world. It's just, it is what it is. That's the cards you're dealt, and I don't know, I like myself reluctantly sometimes. My point is, we all have our quirks and our crosses to bear, and we're all just unique. We got weird little things. Sometimes they're just quirks, sometimes they're a bit deeper. And yeah, we're all just on our own journey trying to figure out what the hell is going on. I feel like. I hope you enjoyed this for some reason. I will go back to regular programming in the next video. I hope to see you there. Speaking of which, I should probably get started on that. Or I could not do that. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.